Hey guys, what's up? So today we're going to look at one of the icons in my banner. These are not the only things. I have some people ask me about this. These are not the only things I invest in. I was making this banner. This is all made by me, and I just thought, well, I want to put some of the cryptos in here that I own. And I think most of you guys probably knew what these were, but maybe there was a couple of you that didn't. Today we're going to look at this little thing here. I'm not even sure what to call it. It is Osmosis Labs. And this was just discussed on Twitter recently. It was a video that I intended on doing. I've been in Osmosis Labs since about June. Now, the question may be why I took so long to bring it up. And, when I get into these things, I invest my own money, right? Rug pull, Ponzi, scam, whatever it is, I put my own money in there before I talk about it. And the reason to do that is because I feel somewhat responsible. I do not offer financial advice, tax advice, legal advice, nothing like that. But I do understand and am aware of the fact that because I have an account, because I've got a decent, an okay amount of followers, and because I have a YouTube, that there are going to be people who buy things just because I talk about it. I am cognitively aware of that. So because of that, I feel somewhat responsible that if I talk about something, and hey, it could still be a scam after I talk about it, but if I talk about something, I better make sure that I'm testing it long enough to make sure I understand what it is. I can have an intelligent conversation about it. And I'm not just leading you down something that you're going to get screwed over. Okay? And I need to do a video on Strong. I will. I think most people know about Strong at this point, but I will do a video at some point. And actually, in my next video after this, I'm really excited to get into Gala Games. It's had a massive, massive run lately. I've been in Gala Games for, I think I got it in April. Actually, yeah, but between March and April, some point. I'll show that in the next video. I'm really, really excited. I'm going to show you a deep dive. I'm going to go into some really exciting things Gala Games is doing, as well as how to set up a node. Okay, this is Osmosis Labs. Okay, this is the official website, osmosis.zone. This has been out for a few months, but before we get into Osmosis Labs, we do need to get into what Cosmos is, right? Because Osmosis is built on top of Cosmos. Now, if you don't know what Cosmos is, excuse me, I know I'm gonna screw up Cosmos and Osmosis probably 50 times in this video because it's so darn similar. But Cosmos.network. If you don't understand what Cosmos is, it's the Atom token, ATOM, and it's not the only token. Basically, I would come into here if I were you. I'm not going to do a deep dive into Cosmos. That would take a long time. But Cosmos.network, you can click Learn. You can come in here to the introduction. You can tear this down and read through this. And, at the end of the day, Cosmos, I'll just kind of break it down simply. Blockchains are generally siloed. What that means is that they are autonomous from one another. They don't really communicate with each other. And Cosmos has really tried to fix this problem by creating more of an open ecosystem of multiple blockchains within it. Right? So again, I don't want to get too technical with it, but they do use things like, you'll read through this, but things like Tendermint. They have an SDK, which is a software development toolkit. And something called an IBC. It's sort of like a, I guess the best way I could describe it is an inter blockchain communication protocol. We'll actually be looking at that as we use Osmosis because it will be relevant, right? But I would recommend maybe taking a few minutes in understanding this. Okay, I think that's important. And before we get too deep into this, I did forget that when I do deep dive videos, I do want to mention two things: the 80-20 rule and what success looks like. Pareto's principle. This was taught to me by a business mentor years ago. His name is Ben Cummings, and the idea is that 80% of your outcome come from 20% of the causes. Okay, this is a really important rule to learn, in my opinion, because I see it in my life even when I'm not trying to look for it, like for example, I'm sort of honed in on it now. The actions that I take in life, I'm not always cognizant of this, but I try to be cognizant of making sure I apply the 80-20 rule, that I'm taking those 20% that's going to get me 80% of the results. I did a quick pre-search search on the 80-20 rule in crypto, and there's a whole bunch of different things that came up. You guys might be interested to do just a quick read. Someone on Reddit says 80% of the value in crypto will reside in 20% of the coins, and frankly, I could not agree more with that. I totally agree with that. I think there's just a few projects. There's those, 20%. I don't even know how many cryptos there are now. 8,000, 10,000, something like that. There's only going to be a couple thousand that are worth buying. I'll be honest. Now, in a bull run, frankly, you could probably invest in anything and make money. I'll be honest with you, okay? Especially when you get to that top part. But if you want long-lasting wealth, there's a difference between making a quick buck and making wealth. There's just those 20% that, in my opinion, are going to bring you 80% of your long-lasting real wealth. And that's my goal, is to help you create wealth. Okay? I don't offer financial advice. I'll show you what I'm doing, but that's my goal, is to create wealth, not to make a quick buck. And of course, I showed this last time. I'm going to keep showing it because, I did want to add on to this. Just because I'm showing this does not mean that you should not picture the best outcome. I want to just clarify that, because I was starting to think, gosh, I hope I didn't make you guys think, oh, you should be a pessimist, because in my opinion, cynics are usually never successful. And just in my experience, I have never met a successful cynic. Okay? You could be realistic, but a cynic is different. I'm not saying to be a cynic and think, oh, things are going to go bad, but be cognizantly aware of it, right? Just be aware of the fact that this is generally how it works. So expectations are everything. Okay, expectations are huge. Expectations are your superpower, because relationships can be wrecked due to unmet expectations. Your emotions can go up, down, left, and right due to unmet expectations. This is all about, to me, expectations. Yes, visualize the left, but expect the right. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, looking at Osmosis Labs, there's a great, everything you see here will be linked in the description below, but this is a great little article here from Medium that I would recommend you go over. Okay, at the end of the day, what Osmosis is, I'm just going to kind of try to sum this up, because there's a lot of technicals to what you could read here. Okay, they are an automatic market maker. That is what Osmosis is. The question is, what the heck is an automatic market maker? Decentralized exchanges are looking to eradicate any kind of intermediate processes involved in the back and forth trading of crypto. Okay, they don't support order matching systems, things of that nature, or custodial type of infrastructures. They promote an autonomy such that users are able to initiate their trades directly from non-custodial wallets. Okay, and so at the end of the day, basically, what's happening is you have these trades that are going back and forth. So basically, when you're buying crypto back and forth, there has to be an order matching system, so that somebody is buying what you're selling, or somebody is selling what you're buying, etc. Okay, there is an intermediate process, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's what we'd call a middleman. Okay, kind of for lack of a better word. So these have been replaced with in decentralized exchanges. Okay, Uniswap is a great example of this. They have because if you're going to be truly decentralized, you can't have a middleman, obviously. So how does that work? Well, they use a process called automatic market makers. Okay, there's smart contracts that define the price of the cryptos, and they provide the liquidity. So you're not technically trading against somebody else. Instead, you're actually trading against the liquidity that's locked inside of smart contracts. And the smart contracts are often called liquidity pools. That's what we've always heard, liquidity pools. That's what liquidity pools do. They take the liquidity, lock inside of a smart contract, and they become basically an automatic market maker when there are trades and there's no counterparty risk per se. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense about what the intermediary is on a decentralized exchange. It is essentially an automatic market maker. And Osmosis kind of takes us to a different level. They allow people to deploy automatic market maker abilities inside of Osmosis. It's kind of the best way I know how to describe it is almost sort of an API for automatic market makers. Okay, it allows people to deploy their own custom automatic market making abilities inside of Osmosis. Okay, so they're taking it and they're allowing people to sort of customize on top of it, sort of like an API. That's kind of the best way I know how to describe it. And I'm going to link this in the article. You can come in here and read this. Because it's built on Cosmos, there's a lot of really cool features inside of Osmosis. One thing I do want to cover really quick is something that I don't feel is covered enough, and I think it does people some injustice, if that's the right word I'm looking for. I think it is. And it's something called impermanent losses. Okay, so when you are participating in a liquidity pool, yes, there's all this yield farming and all this other kind of great opportunities that exist. However, there is something called impermanent losses, and I don't hear people really educating anybody on what this means. Okay, because if you participate in these liquidity pools, you can experience losses. And maybe what might make more sense is let's get into Osmosis, and I'll kind of show you a little bit because it might be better if I sort of visualize it inside of Osmosis. You can find, I'll link this as well, this is a Msari article. It was one of the only articles I can find the core developers mentioned. That's why I linked this here. It did launch on June 19th. Okay, I think I got it in July, not June, because this was out for about a month before I got it. So it was around July. And you can look up these developers on LinkedIn. It is the top 3 guys here, and then there's a whole team here. So you can go and look up the team and do all your due diligence, as I would recommend you do. Some of these guys have been in blockchain for a while, some of them have not. So take that for what it's worth. Not a concern to me personally at all. If you look at the Osmo token, you can break this down on CoinGecko as well. It looks like there was some sort of burn event, and I don't know the specifics behind that, but the total supply is less than $1 billion. It's now 325 million. So if any of you know what the deal behind that is, because I tried to look up what happened and I was not able to find anything. Chart looks good. Again, I don't do too much TA here. I did look at this and I had to do sort of a double take because this almost started looking like a left shoulder here, because we started 501 on September 11 and came right back down right about here. And I was thinking, it looks like a left shoulder, but it's been kind of invalidated. It still could become a head after this. Not so sure about that, but chart looks good. You can see the all-time high, all that other fun stuff. It hasn't been around very long, obviously, since June, so there's not that much data to go off of. But this is the Osmosis zone. Now, in order to participate, you need to download a whole new wallet. I know everybody's jumping up and down about that. It's called Kepler, Kepler, Kepler wallet. Okay. This works very much like MetaMask. Very much like If you've used MetaMask, if you've used ZinPay, if you've used any of that kind of stuff, this is what you're going to need. Okay, you're going to need to go and download Kepler. Please back up your seed phrase and all that other fun stuff, your private key. Please get that all backed up, but you're going to need Kepler, and inside of Kepler is really cool. So on the very top, you see where it says Cosmos, okay? You click this, you got all these different networks built into it. So, sort of on MetaMask, you have to enter all these other blockchains like Binance Smart Chain and the KCS network and all those other ones. Well, these are already on here. So you got Osmosis, you've got Sentinel, which we're going to go over, by the way, and all these other blockchains. So you need to go download Kepler. It's an extension. Plugs right into your Google Chrome browser. Okay, I cut the video there because I needed to go to Coinbase and just quickly send some Atom tokens to my Cosmos so you can kind of see how this works. So went ahead and I sent $50 and it was a little less than that. That's fine. So I want to show you how this works. Now you don't have to actually use Cosmos. I'll show you. So when you come into the Osmosis zone, you got all these links on the left here. You're going to need, after you set up your Kepler wallet, to come down here and click the blue button that says Connect Wallet. Okay, it will always show you your current Osmo balance. But if you click Assets here, you got a lot of different ways you can do this. You can bring in any of these tokens to start with. It doesn't have to be Atom, but it's just the one that I started with. So it's kind of the easiest one to buy. You can go right on Coinbase and purchase Cosmos and send it in here. So that's the reason I did it. But if you have DVPN or Persistence or Crypto.org even, you can start with those. You would just keep in mind, if you're going to start with, say, Persistence, you'd have to come up here, click the Persistence network, send your Persistence to this wallet. Or if you're going to start with Sentinel, send your DVPN to this wallet. I just decided to start with Cosmos. So these are all blockchains inside of Cosmos. This is currently their ecosystem of blockchains. It's really cool how it works. And they can all talk to each other. You'll see that here in a minute. But that's what I did. So once you do that, you're going to want to come in here and you're going to want to click Deposit. You'll see your available balance right here. I'm just going to deposit all of them. Hit Deposit. You're going to go ahead and it doesn't matter what the gas fees. I'm just going to go with the average one. This is a pretty fast network, so you shouldn't be too concerned about it taking too long. Although when you're doing inter-blockchain communication, it can take a little bit of time, I'm not going to lie. So it's just something to keep in mind. So you can see it's currently depositing. There it is, it's successful. Let's go ahead and refresh again. There we go. So now we've got our 1.16378 in here as our Atom token. Okay, again, you can withdraw it right back out if you prefer to do that. So we took our Atom token out of the overarching Cosmos blockchain and brought it into Osmosis. So once you get this in here, now you've got some funds to play with. Okay. So let's go ahead and come up here to where it says trade. Now you can trade it. If you'd like to trade it, you could do all sorts of stuff. One thing I do want to mention here, I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to actually put the transaction through. Let's just say we wanted to swap this. I'm going to swap a maximum of 1.16 Atom for 7.5 Osmosis. Let's go ahead. Let's check the slippage is 1. That's good. Go ahead and click swap. I want to bring something up. So if you're doing this for the very first time, you don't have any Osmosis. Okay, so when you get this window, make sure you select the option that is free. Now, when I first did this back in, I don't remember if it was June or July. When I first did this, I believe low was the only one that was free. Right now, it looks like average is free as well. But if you try to do this, you need Osmosis for the gas, but you need to swap to get Osmosis. So it was sort of a catch-22. So I don't know if it's different for me because I've been in this or not. Either way, just make sure if you do any kind of swaps that you select the free option that says $0 and 0 Osmo, and then go ahead and approve that. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out the liquidity pool. So let's go ahead and click pools on the left. You're going to see all of the different pools. By the way, the Osmo price is always on the top of this screen as well. The next distribution, if you're participating in these pools, is 18 hours and 17 minutes. So if you scroll down, you'll see all of these different liquidity pools you could participate in along with their APRs. Now, this is not compound interest like OHM or anything like that. This is just a straight yield. Okay? But these are pretty amazing, as a matter of fact. So the one I'm in is DVPN and Osmo. So you're providing liquidity between these two transfer mechanisms. Like the trade screen we were just on, you're providing the liquidity for these two. So that's how you're able to trade from, say, Atom to Osmo to DVPN or vice versa or whatever. Okay, it's pulling liquidity from all these different pools. Okay, that's what's happening here. There's no middleman, so it's a completely decentralized infrastructure. But when I got into this, it was around 700%, 7 to 800%, if my memory does not escape me. Okay, we've been hovering. Obviously, it's not going to stay there. It's going to drop. It's going to fluctuate. But we've been pretty steady here at about 200 to 218%. Okay, we've been pretty darn steady. Now if I click into this, you've got 3 different options for all these liquidity pools of unbonding. What unbonding means is, let's say I want to get my tokens back. What do? So, I come in here and I remove my liquidity. Okay, say I want to remove 100%, I remove it. Well, it's going to take me longer to get this back depending on which one I'm in. So a day bonding, when I do the method I just showed, it basically takes me 24 hours to get my tokens back. You get 170% yield for participating in that. 7 days unbonding, you get 202%, but it takes you a full week just to get your tokens back. Just after you say, hey, the price is running up, I want to get my tokens and sell, it's going to take you a week to get them. 14 days is even longer. This is the one I'm in right now, because when I did this, I didn't really care. And there's only an 11% difference between the 7 and 14 day. I'm going to probably move mine. It's going to suck. I'm going to wait 2 weeks, but probably move mine into the 7 day. And as we get in probably to November, I'll move it into the 1 day, just because we're getting closer to the blow off top of this bull market and I might want to sell. But I mean, if you're in a bull market, you don't want to wait 7 or 14 days to get your tokens back. The price can completely tank in 7 days. So something to keep in mind. That's what this is. You're going to pay if you do either one. Okay, you're going to pay by waiting if you do this one, but you're going to get a higher yield. You're going to pay by not getting the higher yield, but you get quicker liquidity, I would say, to get your tokens back. Okay, I think 7 days is a happy medium, because you're only talking an 11% difference between 7 and 14 days. It's not much. You can see the pooled amount in here if you want, and so on. So let's participate in this. Let's see what this looks like. So let me back up. So to participate in this, what you're going to need to do, you're going to find the liquidity pool you want to get into. You're going to click add or remove liquidity. And when you add your liquidity, let's say you want to add $100, you need 50% of DVPN, 50% of Osmo. Whatever you're participating in, it'll be 50% of one, 50% of the other. So just kind of keep in mind, if you want to put $1,000 in, you need $500 of DVPN, $500 of Osmo. So you can see we don't have that just yet. So we actually do need to go and make a trade for this. So let's go back to trade. We've got our atom here. If I do the maximum, you see it's $46.40. Let's see if we can get around, tell you what, let's say $20 of each, just kind of make it easy math. So let's see if my math is not wrong. I think it's, there we go, 501 be about $20. Which, honestly, I don't even need to do this because I have enough osmosis to do this, but I'm just kind of showing you what this looks like. Okay. Gonna click trade. Average. There might be some slippage. So you may not get exactly $20, just kind of play with it a little bit. Okay. So it says it's successful, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh here. You see 16.6 Osmo down there, 19.9. Okay, beautiful. Now we want to swap the other half into DVPN. We would need, I'm going to do the same amount again. 501 is about $20, right? It's going to be 466. Go ahead and swap into this as well. Okay, perfect. Good to go. Let's go to our assets real quick, and you're going to see now we've got obviously we had our osmosis, we have our DVPN as well. So I got a little bit of atom left I might do something with. Let's just see. But we'll go into the liquidity pool here. You can say add/remove liquidity. Now you just hit max. So now you got maximum on both. This is the maximum. Okay. So if you got 51% of this and say 49% of this, you just hit max on whichever. You're going to have to select the one with the lower amount, and it's just going to max out the other one. Okay. So we're going to hit add liquidity. Then we're going to go over impermanent losses here in just a second. I didn't forget about that. Go ahead and hit average again. Now when you do this, what's going to happen is you're going to get what's called an LP token. And that token is sort of the ticket to get into the, let's see, yeah, okay, it's been sort of the ticket to get into the amusement park is kind of the best way I know how to put it. Okay, so you can see now I have some liquidity pool, available liquidity pool tokens. Okay, so we're going to hit start earning, and this is where we decide, do we want to do a 1 day, a 7 day, or a 14 day. I think in this one I'm going to do a 7 day. Go ahead and just hit max because we're going to add, it's a long number. It's a 37,816 liquidity pool tokens. Don't really pay any attention to the value here. It's just kind of irrelevant anyway. Go ahead and hit bond, approve. To keep the math simple, what some people do is they will send over only the amount they want for one token at a time. So to keep the math simple, for example, let's say you want to do 10 grand. Okay, send $5,000 of Atom over. Okay, and then swap all of that into DVPN. And then send another $5,000 of Atom over again. And then swap all that into Osmosis. Now you have your 50-50 or close to your 50-50 without having to get 10,000 and then try to do the math behind it when you're doing the trade. I'm just doing it for speed's sake, but that would be how a lot of people do it. Okay. So now you'll notice we've got some tokens in our 7-day bonding area right here. None in the 1 day because I don't have anything, but the majority of it is in the 14-day bonding. So let's go ahead and just refresh this for a minute to make sure we got our up-to-date value, $659. So let's go back. Let's just look at this again. Okay, so you can do this in as many of these pools as you want. There's no minimum to enter. There's no the only time frame to wait to get out is the bonding period you choose, but there's no time you have to leave this in. There's no minimum to pull it out. Nothing like that. So you could see my liquidity and my bonding amount. It's just basically how much I have invested. Okay, $659. Now, let's talk about impermanent losses for a second because it's important. People are not talking about this. There's a lot of people that show you how to use liquidity pools, but they're doing you a disservice when they don't tell you the risks behind liquidity pools. Okay, so this is the risk. The risk is called something called impermanent losses. And what impermanent losses are, it's basically, so you saw what we added in. So we got $659 in. I did not invest $659 into this. I invested, excluding what we just did, I invested about $375. So the question is, why do we have $659 in here? Well, when I first invested in this Osmosis price was somewhere around $2 to, I think we went as low as like $1.20. You can see now it's $6. Well, we had a massive price run since the big fall over the summertime. Okay, today is September 25th of 2021, so when we took a dive in April, May, June, etc., obviously everything took a dive. Well, if you had invested in this liquidity pool, say in March, I know it wasn't out in March, but just follow me here for a minute, the math, and then all of a sudden the market tanked. Well, your price is now dropping in here as well, so the yield that you thought you were going to get, it's sort of like if you held these tokens. So if you put 10, in our example of $10,000, you put 5,000 and 5,000 in. Well, if you held those tokens, 5,000 of Osmosis, 5,000 of DVPN, well, obviously if the market tanks, your value goes down, right? Well, that doesn't change inside of a liquidity pool. That's exactly the same thing that happens, except now the yield you thought you were going to get on that 10,000, you know, the market tanks 50%. Now you're getting that yield only on 5,000 instead. You see what I'm saying? So if you try to pull your tokens out, you're only going to have $5,000, or you're not going to have $10,000 worth if the market has dropped. Okay, so the price ratio of the pooled assets can fluctuate. So you know how we put 50% of DVPN and 50% of Osmosis? Well, a liquidity pool will incur impermanent losses when the price ratio of those two pooled assets deviates from the price when you first deposited them. Okay, so in my instance, I have what's called an impermanent gain. I don't even know if that's a word. I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but it's basically the opposite, where the value has gone up rather than going down. The pooled assets have to remain at a 50-50 ratio all the time. So anytime that gets out of whack, you're losing tokens on one side or the other. Okay, so the safest route for participating in liquidity pools, and I should say safer, is to make sure one of the sides is a stable coin, because now you're only really incurring a 50% chance of loss. Like let's just say, for example, this was DVPN and DAI, DAI, right? Well, you're not going to have to worry about the value of DAI going down, but you would worry about the value of DVPN going down, and in which case DAI would have to sell off or whatever. But when you have two fluctuating assets, you have the risk on both sides. Okay, price drops, now the ratio gets out of whack, now the liquidity pool has to adjust. So this is what's called impermanent losses. If the reason it's called impermanent losses is because it's only permanent when you withdraw the said funds before the price actually goes back. So you can incur loss. So say $659 that we have in here drops tomorrow to, I don't know, $300 again. Well, if I pull my funds out, now it's a permanent loss because I've taken those funds and I've realized those losses. It's an impermanent loss just because if I wait around, this market could turn around and so forth. Okay, so just know that these ratios have to stay 50-50. And at any time they don't, you will lose some tokens on one side of the coin or the other, no pun intended. Okay, I know that's kind of a mouthful, but just kind of look at it sort of like a teeter-totter. It's got to remain balanced in the middle. Anytime it goes out of whack, you're going to lose one side or the other. Okay, but you only realize that loss if you actually pull your funds out. You panic and pull your funds out. In my experience, and this did happen to me, I think I started with like $375. I think I went down to as low as like $200, something like that, because the market was so, dropping, and Elon with his Doge tweets and all that kind of stuff, right? Actually, I should say with his Bitcoin tweets about the energy usage, rather. But as I waited, it went back up. Okay? So you have to, in my opinion, liquidity pools are a long-term play, number one. And number two, in my opinion, you do not want to enter liquidity pools for a long-term investment in the middle of a bull market, especially at the top of a bull market. You're just asking for pain, because if you get to this euphoric top of a bull market and you start putting a lot of money in here and the market collapses, you're going to lose a significant amount. So you'd be better off just waiting for the bear market. That's the best time to get in, because you're going to get your yield and likely the market goes right back up. So actually you realize a impermanent gain in that instance. So this is what, in my opinion, what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take some of my profits in this upcoming bear market. I'm going to dump them when I determine the bear market's pretty solid and we're not really going to go too much lower. Dump some of those in liquidity pools. That's going to be a long-term investment. And as the market goes back up into its next 4-year bull market again, or 4-year cycle into a bull market, I should say, not only will I gain the yield, but my value will go up as well. Okay, so that's my plan. Doesn't have to be yours. Let's talk about some yield farming opportunities. Okay, there's some plays here. This looks like, not all too much that meets the eye until you really start thinking about the possibilities behind these pools. So here's some possibilities here. So all these pools will pay you out in the native Osmo token. That's going to be your reward. It gets deposited into your wallet automatically. You don't have to do anything. You set it and forget it. It's kind of like OHM. You set it and forget it, right? You got a couple options here. Okay, as you earn the Osmo token, nobody's telling you can't swap half of that token for another token and come into a different liquidity pool. For example, let's say you get my 16.7 osmosis down here. Let's just say I swap. Now you got to keep some for gas. Keep that in mind. You should have a little bit for gas, like Ethereum, but not much. Let's just say I swap half of it into, I don't know, persistence, for example. Now I can come and enter this pool. Okay? Now I'm earning from 2 pools. Okay? So as I get my osmosis from pool 1 and pool 2, don't worry about the numbers and my numbers. I'm just using an example. From pool 1 and pool 2, now I have maybe, 30 osmosis. So now I swap half again. And maybe I come down, I'm like, you know what, I want to enter into Iris in osmosis. So I add liquidity into here. So now I got 3 pools. So you get the point, right? You can literally, there's nothing saying you can't do this until you are literally earning in every single one of these pools. You just start with one and you build out. For me, I've done something a little different. I probably will do that, but I'm waiting more for the bear market to really get into that craziness. I'll show you the yield farming I'm doing. And there's nothing saying you can't do that right now. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So you could re-enter other pools. That's one option. Or your osmosis can actually be staked inside the Kepler wallet. So if you come into osmosis, I'm already staking. Now you can earn up to 175% per year with osmosis. So let's go ahead and click stake. Just showed this to you real quick. So I've got about 90 osmosis staked. There's different validators you can use. I just recommend go with the one with the lowest commission. 5% is going to be your minimum for a validator. Just for me, I just picked the one with the most voting power. It didn't really matter. Sentinel has a osmosis validator that you're going to delegate your osmosis to earn staking rewards. So you come in here, say, okay, I've got some osmosis. Click manage. You're going to click delegate, and you're going to choose. Just type in the amount that you want to delegate. I have an available balance here because obviously that's in my wallet. However, I actually have a pending reward from my staked osmosis of 8. Okay, so kind of picture this for a minute. You participate in these liquidity pools, right? Okay, you earn your osmosis token. One route is you go back into a liquidity pools. Another route is you go and you stake your osmosis and you earn more osmosis. And with that osmosis you earn, you can either restake it or go into the liquidity pools. Or heck, go back into your current liquidity pools and they add even more liquidity. Okay, now if I come here and I click claim, I'm going to claim my 8 osmosis. And what the heck, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to take my 8 osmosis and I'm going to go restake it again. So I'm going to click stake. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to, you'll notice now I have 24.96 before I had 16 and some change. We had 8.25. I'm going to dump my 8.25 right back in here again. So I'm taking the rewards, I'm putting it back in. Taking the rewards, putting it back in. Taking the rewards, putting it back in. Over and over again. That's what I'm basically doing here. Okay? Now you'll see we have 90 Osmo staked. Now if that transaction has gone through and we refresh it, it should say 98.25. And there you go. Now I got 98.25 staked. So next time I get the rewards, I'll probably do the same thing again. Right? I'll show you some other things you can do. So I'm giving you a lot here. So again, you earn your osmosis. You go into other pools. That's option A. Option B, you stake your osmosis. Option C, you convert it into another asset and you stake that. So you could say, I got some osmosis. I want to trade this into DVPN. So I hit this, I convert it, and now I have to come into my assets. I have to withdraw it, okay, because it's in osmosis here. I have to withdraw it, and when I do, to make sure that in my Kepler, I come up here and I select whatever blockchain I'm working with. If persistence, I'm going to click persistence. In this case, it's Sentinel, so I'm going to click Sentinel. Okay, you're going to withdraw it. Boom, you got your Sentinel. Now I can go and stake that. Now with Sentinel, you can earn about 63. I can tell you this is between 60 and 70% per year. Okay, so I'm actually already doing this again. So same exact screen again. It's just different. You can see over here on the left side. You could do this with all of them. There's nothing like you could literally go into every single one of these and do what I'm doing here. So I have about 16,000 of them staked. Let's see, I just chose the one with the lowest commission again. That happened to be Space Potato. It doesn't matter which one you use. It had the lowest commission. You see 0.2%, so I couldn't pass that up, obviously. But I got 880. See, so here's the cool thing. I could take this 880 and go back into osmosis and start adding more liquidity back again with this new asset, right? Either utilizing DVPN or saying, I'm going to swap it back into osmosis and do something else with it. In this instance, I'm just going to stake it right back in. And by the way, when you want to stake or unstake, it's going to be a waiting period. So for example, if I wanted to undelegate, which means I want to basically unstake, Sentinel takes 3 weeks for this to become liquid again. So keep this in mind. If you are suspicious that the bull market's coming up, you want to get out, I'd get out of this and just hold your tokens and wait to sell them. In my case, I'm going to redelegate more. Actually, my bad, I have to claim them first. Let me go claim them. So I'm going to hit claim reward here. Average, yep, that's good. I'm going to take this and restake it. But again, you see the possibilities here. As you receive all these different rewards, nothing's stopping you from swapping it into something else, staking that, taking those rewards, coming back here, staking it into this, taking both of those rewards, going into a liquidity pool, doing it in any direction you want. I mean, you got 50 directions you can go in, literally 50 directions you can go in. In this case, actually what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to copy and paste the available balance I have and redelegate. Oh, I need some for that transaction fee, my bad. Just do 896. How about that? Do 896. Keep a little in there. Hit approve. You may need to keep some for gas. I would recommend you keep a couple tokens just for gas. It gets kind of annoying if you're moving things around and you don't have enough gas to do it. So now you see, I believe that's already updated. I think that's already updated. It is already updated, 17,000. So next time I claim this, I'll probably put it right back in again. Just kind of keep the lock-in period in mind. If it takes 2 to 3 weeks, you want to plan accordingly. You don't want to see DVBN go up 10,000%, something crazy like that, and then try to get your tokens out to sell them. You kind of want to plan this a little bit. Okay, but this is, this is basically how this works. This is, to me, a really cool automatic market maker. You can see they're adding, there's actually several new assets in here since I've started. But there's going to likely be more pools that are going to be opened up. I haven't seen any in some time, but there have been a couple new ones. I think this one's fairly new. And there's a lot of pools in here. You could move money in between. Like, imagine a goal, and this is not particularly my goal, but imagine a goal of having liquidity in every one of these pools. Doesn't even have to be that much money, but in the bear market, that'd be kind of a goal I would have, is to have, I don't know how much value in, but some money in every single one of these. And as I get osmosis every single day, automatically deposited right into my wallet without me doing anything, I come in, I take my osmosis, I stake it, or I swap it into DVPN, or I swap it into persistence, or I swap it into Iris, or whatever, and I stake all those. Now I'm earning rewards on all those. Like, one method in a bear market is obviously to accumulate cheap assets. Another method is to accumulate cheap assets by staking. That by the time you stake and you're doing all this kind of stuff and you're earning all these rewards, bull market comes, like, you're loaded and you didn't even buy them. You're basically operating off of staking rewards. You just pull your staking rewards down. You might have tens of thousands, if hundreds of thousands of tokens that you can sell. Now, I shared this a couple days ago. There's going to come a point that after I show you all of these passive income sources that I'm going to take, the chickens are going to come home to roost. In other words, I'm going to take all of these methods and I'm going to show you how to use all of them together. There's sort of a method to the madness here. Osmosis is just one of those tools. It's like a tool in your tool shed. Okay, it's just one tool to get a specific job done, but I'm going to, at some point, I don't know when, I need to get through enough of these passive income opportunities, streams, whatever you want to call them, before I show you how do they all work together. Because there's not a finality, I'll say, but there is a method to the madness of taking all of these and allowing them all to work in concert to grow your wealth. That's kind of the goal. These are not just random things that don't have any connection to each other. Oh no, on the contrary, they are very related and very connected, and I've already, in my mind, connected these together, and I'm going to show you how to connect these together. I don't know when that's going to be exactly, but at some point down the road in the future, I'm going to show you how all of these sort of connect together. In my next video, I am planning on walking through Gala Games. Really excited about Gala Games. There's a lot to uncover there about Gala Games. I'm going to do a deep dive into who they are, who the team is, why if you don't own a Gala node, you're going to want to get one pretty soon. Today's September 25th. You have until October 1st. Something's going to happen on October 1st with the Gala nodes, and I hope to get a video out to you before then so that you could take advantage of what it is, what the project is, how it works, how to set it up, and what's going to happen if you don't do that by October 1st. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Let me know, what do you think about Osmosis Labs? Are you going to participate? Are you going to maybe dip your toe in the water and go maybe more all in during the bear market? Are you going to go all in now? Are you going to test the waters a little bit? Have you used liquidity pools before? I've used liquidity pools and other blockchains that ended up, I wouldn't say being rug pulls, but ended up being kind of worthless. Osmosis is one of those ones that I've had a lot of success with, and I do believe it is one of the 80-20 cryptos. So let me know in the description, or rather in the comments below. Everything will be in the description, all of the links that you saw here. And until next time, guys, God bless, and thanks for tuning in.